It is now officially final. What do I mean by that? Did you know that Stellar recently made a post saying how today Zebec launches enterprise payroll on Stellar? So just as everyone thought, oh, it's not going to happen, allegedly it did. And I think this is really impressive. So yes, Zebec as of right now may be going slightly down, around 3% lower in the past 24 hours, but still even despite that, we have to consider the magnitude of something like enterprise payroll on Stellar. And I think this right here could mean a lot when it comes to Zebec. And I'll explain what I think about it in today's video, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I am not telling anyone to do anything. If we ignore the price for a second, I think this right here is a pretty massive thing what Zebec has done, because allegedly through Zebec's enterprise-grade payroll platform, they're going to be featuring a brand new dashboard, which is built for HR managers overseeing large global teams, and it enables employers to better serve employees and contractors. So this is really fantastic stuff right here. And this is, I think, fixing a missing aspect when it comes to Zebec. And the reason why I say that is because Zebec, as focused as it is on payrolls, it's just not as popular as Stellar. That's just the case as of right now. But what Stellar has is something that a lot of enterprises recognize, which is the Stellar blockchain. A lot of enterprises know what Stellar is. Stellar is just way more popular. But the thing is, Stellar doesn't really have a specialization when it comes to the aspect of payrolls. They're more so focused on global trade and finance. We take a look at RWAs, or should I say real world assets, but they don't really have this unique specialization towards payrolls like what Zebec has. So that's where Stellar kind of fills the void for Zebec, but then also vice versa. Stellar is solving something that Zebec can't solve in and of itself, which is popularity and recognizability. Zebec just doesn't have too much of that as of right now. But Zebec is also solving something that Stellar doesn't really have, and that is the aspect of being really focused on payrolls in terms of a specialization. So it's a mutual and beneficial, I think, collaboration when it comes to this. And keep in mind, this wasn't something that they just worked on for a couple days and pieced it together like that. No. Based off of what Simon said, and, no pun intended, again, Simon, the CEO of Zebec, he did say that they worked on this for the past 3 months. So for around 90 days, they've been working on this. Pretty impressive stuff right here. And people might think, right, wow, like around 3 months, that's not that long. But when it comes to the speed in which something like Stellar or Zebec operates, that's usually pretty long because they work really efficiently. They work with intent and they work with a game plan, right? So if it takes around 3 months, that's pretty impressive in my opinion, and it kind of showcases the effort that they put in. This is not like them collaborating on a hangout or when they're going to watch the movies together. That's not the case. This is like collaborating on something that could be so massive and it could very well transform both Stellar and Zebec. I really do think about it that way because if we take a look at Zebec, it's really focused on payrolls, but it hasn't really crossed over into the enterprise side of things in such a massive way yet. And Stellar, they already have crossed over into the enterprise side of things, but they haven't really done it in such a massive way when it comes to payrolls. So it's mutually affecting both of them, I think, in a pretty positive, hypothetical way, especially moving forward. Now, it just launched, so there's really no way to know what the effects are in the next couple months or in the next couple of years right now. There's just no way to know that currently in terms of the long-term effects. But one thing I do know for sure, though, is that this seems like a pretty massive thing when it comes to Zebec and as well as Stellar. Because keep in mind, in the latest monthly report when it comes to Zebec, they had over 200 payroll enterprise clients. Now, that is without what they've done with Stellar so far. So we got to take that into consideration. So even without what they did with Stellar, they already have that many payroll enterprise clients, but that's not too many in the grand scheme of things. It's pretty impressive, but it's not too massive. So I think Stellar could kind of elevate that to a totally different level because, again, the Stellar blockchain, not only is it fast, it's very recognizable, and a lot of enterprises, they just know what it is. So this is a pretty awesome thing right here. People like to say, oh, Zebec's not doing anything. Well, they are. The fact that Stellar announced it this quickly, it showcases just how impressive it is, in my opinion at least, because when Zebec first had a partnership with Stellar, Stellar took quite a while to announce it for whatever reason, and then eventually they did. But this one was really fast. It was kind of like coordinated in a sense where Stellar announced it, and then I also saw Zebec pretty much announce it kind of at the same time. Well, actually, allegedly, Zebec announced it like 3 hours faster But you know what? Tomato, tomato, right? Doesn't really matter. It is what it is. I just find this to be pretty cool because if we take a look at, let's say in the case of Zebec, people oftentimes like to say, especially back then, that a project like this can't really sort of overtake Ripple or Stellar, which I agree with. It doesn't need to overtake them, but what it needs to do is work alongside them, which is what they're doing. So I think that Zebec understands that if you can't beat them, might as well join them. This is a smart mentality, in my opinion, because some other projects out there, they view collaborating with a competitor, especially one that's more massive, they view it as a sign of defeat. They view it like as something that is very bad. But I don't agree with that, actually. Because let's just think about this. I'm just going to use an example, not from this space, but from like real life, right? Take a look at Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, the boxer, he lost twice to Alexander Usyk. Now, what he did was, actually, he ended up training with Alexander Usyk's team when he was about to box Jake Paul. The thing is this, I think that was pretty smart because Anthony Joshua, he couldn't beat Alexander Usyk, right? He tried twice, he lost both times. But what happened, he was like, okay, why not just join their team? And especially we saw that with his match against Jake Paul, and it worked out pretty well for him. Now, regardless, he should have probably, won anyways, but I'm saying still, that's still a pretty impressive thing, and it kind of showcases a mindset where if you can't really beat him, might as well join him. I do like seeing this when it comes to Zebec. Maybe they took some clues from Anthony Joshua. No, I'm just joking. Probably they didn't. But yeah, besides that point, if I take a look at this right here, keep in mind, this is what Zebec has done with Stellar so far, and we haven't really seen kind of this big follow-up in terms of what Zebec is going to be doing with Ripple moving forward, because I think sometimes people forgot the fact that Zebec actually this year announced a partnership with Ripple. I think some people forgot about that, but that did happen this year. So we're still waiting on that. So if they're already doing this when it comes to Stellar, imagine what they're going to be doing with Ripple. Ripple is more massive than Stellar. This could be something I'm looking hypothetically forward to, but only time will tell. That's the thing. So yeah, sure, I mean, when it comes to Zebec, nothing really happened too much when it comes to the price, despite the around 30% decrease in the past 24 hours, but I think what Zebec has been doing so far goes far beyond that. These fundamentals, they may not matter right now, these partnerships, but especially moving forward, if the market especially were to take off, this type of stuff could matter a lot. Usually. It might not matter right now, but it could matter later. So this is what I find so impressive. Now people like to say, oh, but if this is so impressive, why did it not move the needle when it comes to Zebec in terms of the price charts? Well, again, just like I mentioned before, at a time like right now, it may not matter too much because the prices are not doing the best, but later on, if the market were to take off or if things start to improve, this type of stuff could really matter because Zebec last year was at around a 540 million market cap, its peak in 2025. We're around 2 times lower than that currently. The thing is this, we're actually way better fundamentally right now when compared to last year in terms of if we take a look at Zebec as a project, right? Why do I say that? Because last year we didn't see the Ripple partnership, we didn't see the Stellar partnership. That's the thing, we just didn't see it. And most definitely we didn't see this, enterprise payroll on Stellar, we just didn't see it. So when it comes to Zebec, it's improved by quite a lot. And actually, when Zebec was at its peak last year, it didn't have an aspect of ISO 20022 compliance yet at the time. It does now, though. So again, I feel like Zebec improved a couple times better, but then it became around 2 times cheaper. How does that make sense? It got better, yet the price went down? Well, it kind of makes sense when it comes to space. But nonetheless, I'm not going to complain about, a discount at a store. So I don't know why I would hypothetically complain in this scenario, maybe, but that's just kind of my mindset as of right now. But nonetheless, I think people are often ignoring that, this is a massive thing when it comes to Zebec, but it kind of is. Keep in mind as well, this does give a lot more exposure when it comes to Zebec, because let's face it, XLM has a lot of holders. If we take a look at, in the case of that, not only is XLM currently ranked 13th in the world in terms of market cap, but It has a very passionate community, a very dedicated community, and also on top of that, it's just more well known when compared to Zebec. So the fact that Stellar even made a post about this, it showcases not only that they care, but also on top of that, I think it also showcases the magnitude of it. And I think indirectly, this does give Zebec more exposure to people out there who are fans of Stellar. And I think at the end of the day, it is a net positive when it comes to Zebec. But I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward. So I want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day.